Hello class, this is a video tutorial on the properties of congruent triangles. The main idea we'll be learning here is that corresponding or matching sides and angles are equal in congruent triangles. So in this process, we're going to determine whether a pair of triangles are congruent. And if we remember from the previous videos that we had 4 different tests for congruency. I'm going to be writing them here along the side just so that we can remember. And once we've tested and figured out what they are, we need to find the values of unknown sides or angles from corresponding sides or angles in the other triangle. So let's first highlight and first try and recall the different tests that we have. So the first one we had was 3 sides, side, side, side. The second that we have was the side, angle, side. And we made sure that the angle is in between the 2 matching sides. The third one that we had was angle, angle, side. So any 2 angles and any side. Okay, and finally we had the right angle, the hypotenuse, and a side. There's a little hair there. Okay, so we're going to be using these 4 tests and figuring out what corresponding angles or corresponding sides and angles mean. So let's take a look at our first example here. So here we have 2 triangles, just side by side, and we need to figure out whether or not they are congruent. So let's take a look here. If we can remember now that if there's a little dash on this one and a little dash on this one, then that means that they are equal. So we have 1 pair of sides, so these 2 are equal. We have another pair here. Take a look. We have 2 dashes here and 2 dashes here. So these 2 sides are equal. And finally, if we take a look here, we have 3 dashes and 3 dashes here. So these 2 sides are equal. So we have 1 pair, 2 pairs, and 3 pairs of sides. So these 2 are congruent triangles. So we can say that these 2 are triangles. So the tests that we use are side, side, side. Okay. So we say that these two triangles are congruent. Now, since they are congruent, if we remember originally that congruency means that they are the exact same shape. It's just that they are positioned differently. So because they are the exact same shape, then that means that the angles and the sides are the same. So this value here, this x, we can figure out what it is. Okay, let's find the corresponding angle to x. So let's take a look. The x is in between the single dash and the double dash. So the single and the double. So which one in our other triangle, which angle is in between the single and the double dash? So there's a single, and there's the double. So 60 degrees is in between them. So that means that x is equal to 60 degrees. So we can say that x degrees is equal to 60. Let's move on. X. Let's move to y. Y is in between the single dash and the triple dash. So if we move to our first triangle, which angle here is in between the single and the triple dash. So there's a single, there's the triple. So that there is actually 40. So that means y is also 40 degrees, which leaves us with the last one. 80 degrees is our final one. Just to be sure, 80 degrees is in between the double and the triple, and the z or the z angle is in between the double and the triple. So we can say that z is equal to 80 degrees. So this is what it means about congruent or corresponding sides or angles in congruent triangles. Let's take a look at our next example here. So we have, once again, two triangles. This time we are given a little dot here and a dot there. This indicates that these two angles are actually the same. It's kind of like how these two are the same, these two sides are the same. So as a result, so we can say that we have one pair of sides, we have an angle, and we have another pair of sides. And not only that, okay, we have two angles, two sides and an angle, but the angle is in between the two sides. That is actually, if you can see in the top right corner here, that's actually side, angle, side. Side, angle, side. Side, angle, side. So side, angle, side. We'll say again, these two triangles are congruent. And as a result, we can figure out what these values are. Let's go in alphabetical order. Let's look at x degrees. So x degrees is right next to our single dash. So if we take a look at our single dash, the angle that's right next to it is 40 degrees. So that means that x being right next to the single, we'll take a look, that's right next to it. That's right next to it. So x degrees must be 40 degrees. Let's move to our next angle, which is y. So y degrees is right next to the double dash. So if we look at our double dash here in our other triangle, our congruent triangle, the corresponding angle to it, the one right next to it, is 30 degrees. So y degrees is equal to 30 degrees. And finally, if it isn't obvious enough, we have a missing side here, which is z. So z centimeters. Well, z centimeters is opposite our dot. So if we take a look at our corresponding angle on our congruent triangle, what's opposite to this one is 5 centimeters. And because these two triangles are congruent, if this is 5 centimeters, the corresponding side is also 5 centimeters. So z is equal to 5 centimeters. So for our last example, let's take a look here. This time, the symbol that we have for matching sides is, matching angles is a single line and a double line. So let's take a look here. We have one angle. We have double line, double line. So we have one angle. We have another angle, another angle. So that's another angle we can use that's matching. So these two, so we have one pair of matching angles and another pair of matching angles. And we have a pair of matching sides. So that's an angle, angle, side. That's another test that we have. Our third test here. And because we have angle, angle, side, we can prove that these two triangles are congruent. So once again, these two triangles are congruent. Okay, which means we can figure out the values of these pronumerals. Let's begin once again at alphabetical order. X degrees. Okay, so x degrees, well, there's really only one angle. Okay, take a look, there's really only one angle here, isn't there? So that one there must be x degrees, because it's the only one that's being told what it is. That there is 30 degrees. Let's look at y centimeters. Well, if we take a look at y centimeters, it is opposite our x. Since we know that x is 30, if we look at our 30 and see what's opposite that, it's actually 9. Take a look. Another way you can think of it is y is in between the single and the double line here. If you take a look here, 9 is in between the single and the double line here. So y must be 9 centimeters, which leaves us with z. Okay, and z, there's only one final matching number, which means it must be, so 12 must be, z must be 12 centimeters. Okay, so that concludes our video tutorial. Best of luck.